Hi there. I want to talk to you, and I am the current president of the American Italian Federation of the Southeast. I'm going to talk to you about what's going on in New Orleans right now regarding Place du Tivoli, a history of Tivoli Circle. And you can see inside here it says Tivoli Place. This is actually a copy of the book, which you can see on that screen there. And what happens is this book was published in 1961. It was by Harnett Kane. He was a historian and a teacher on December 7th, 1961. It's a small book. I'm going to turn to the pages here that are important. You see a sketch here? This shows a carousel, and this is actually Tivoli Circle. In 1807, really 80 years after New Orleans was founded, that area had yet to be developed. Really, pretty much you left the Canal Street and you went to Carrollton, which was its own town, about a 5-mile ride by rail car or by boat. So as they started to develop this, there were no houses there, camps. They were taking land, and they were starting to figure out how to put the streets in and develop it. The planning commissioner was Bartholomew Lofton, and he envisioned the place as a circle. Tivoli is actually the name of some gardens outside of Rome. Going back 2,000 years, we find them now in places like Aspen, New York. Copenhagen has gardens that are over 200 years old. There's actually even a Tivoli Circle on Washington Street in New Orleans. There's Tivoli Apartments right there by this Tivoli Place, as you see here, Tivoli Place. So here, as we turn the pages a little bit more, you'll see that the idea was to have a walkway, but people started recalling to it just as simply the circle. Tivoli, and actually I've been corrected, it's Tivoli. So you can understand how difficult it was to say this, so people just called it the circle. Robert E. Lee died in 1870. And at that point in time, the city decided to give some land to that association to put up a monument. But through this period, we can see here the words are called Tivoli Circle. This is 1845. Other pages in the book, again, the railroad depot, 1866 at Tivoli Circle. Here we see a circus at Tivoli Circles. And we find that the circuses competed. They would actually be in the French part of town, which was Congo Square, and then go to the British part of town, or the Anglo part it was sometimes called, Tivoli Circle. And they would rotate. So this is where the circuses move back and forth from. As we look at this again, we see that it stayed this way. It's still called Tivoli Circle, from Congo Square to Tivoli Circle, the circuses we talked about. And then here, Tivoli Circle again. We look at this point is where it's turned over to become, the land inside will become Lee Place. An ordinance was actually placed in 1877, designated that. So that's enough of this book. What does that mean for where we are today? Well, with that ordinance, when the Lee Monument came down in 2015, you can see here, this is a part of the book. When that monument came down and the ordinance was passed in 2015 to remove it, it took away the dedication of Lee Place. So now we're back to Tivoli Place at Tivoli Circle. That's the legal names. And then the City Council in June of 2020 passed a motion that said we need to address the violent mistreatment towards immigrant groups in New Orleans' troubling history of mistreatment. We need to remedy that. So look here, and that these groups gave rich contributions to New Orleans. That would be the Italians. We know that in 1891 there was a lynching of Italians that had been acquitted. We know that shortly thereafter they passed a law that banned Italians from working on the docks, because those that hung the Italians actually took over their businesses, which were the stevedore companies. So this was very much the mistreatment we talk about. The Street Renaming Commission on page 95 of its report had an asterisk. And the asterisk says the legal name of the circle is Tivoli Circle. Tivoli. Walter Isaacson, in August 19th of 2020, he actually said the same thing. Tivoli Circle is a very nice name. It's a shame that some people in the 1870s and 90s sought to erase and rewrite history in New Orleans. Let's honor history and heritage by calling it its proper name, Tivoli Circle. He talks about that ordinance, 1877. Ordinance number 4064. Here is where Danny Monteverti of WWL talked about in a recent newscast the fact that the Street Renaming Commission itself admits the legal name is Tivoli Circle. Looking back even further, though, we see that in June of 2020, a gentleman named Vincenzo Pasquale Antonio, who had been the director of the Mayor's Office of Human Rights and Equity for the City of New Orleans, this is under Mayor Cantrell, he resigned in 2020, he put a petition up there saying it's Tivoli Circle. All the mayor has to do is tell this public works to put the street signs up. We like to see that happen. We now have a campaign going on, as you see here, the Tivoli Circle campaign, also Tivoli Place, hoping that the city of New Orleans recognizes this and decides to give the Italians the credit of Tivoli Circle. We think it should be a Blue Star Memorial because it's only 400 feet from the World War II Museum. It'd be a great place to honor veterans. There are 80 Blue Star Memorials in Louisiana. The closest one is in Metairie, where you see Veterans Square. You drive around the state, Baton Rouge, Grand Isle, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Alexandria. There's some beautiful Blue Star gardens around the state. And some cities like Winsboro, Faraday, Archibald, they have Blue Star markers as well, and they're fabulous. New Orleans does not. So it's time. Tivoli Circle, a Blue Star and Gold Star. You can also, on the column there, right here, have one side of these square steps for MIA, one side for Purple Heart, one side for Missing in Action, and one side for Gold Star. The website's up. It's called actually victorycircle.org. But you can see how close it is to the World War II Museum, which now has a Blue Star and a Gold Star flag hanging. Here you can see the Faraday Blue Star Memorial. And that is really the gist of our proposal. Facebook, website, petition. We have 1,000 signatures. I'm going to back up on our petition. So you can see our petition here is at 1,002 signatures, asking the City Council to do this, asking the Street Renaming Commission, and asking the Planning Commission to keep it its legal name. We should meet what this motion talks about doing, and that is to remedy the mistreatment to immigrant groups. We've been recognized by the mayor for our contributions, and it's time to let us keep the name Tivoli, which is an Italian name for the circle. Hope this explains it, and I recommend this book to anyone picking it up as seeing. It's only about a 25-page book. Thank you, and have a good day.